up, what up, what up? Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas day after. Happy Hanukkah to my fellow Jewish brethren, even though Hanukkah ended weeks ago. And I'm not sure the appropriate terminology, but happy Kwanzaa, if for those who celebrate Kwanzaa, which begins today. It is Wednesday, December 26th, the countdown to the end of 2018. We are a couple days till the New Year's, and I hope everybody had a lovely, lovely holiday, as there is quite a lot of news going on, and a lot of news that nobody's covering, as per usual. So, thanks for popping in. Remember, as always, your checklist. YouTube's not going to notify anyone, so press that like button, smash that like button. We got 65 people and only 25 likes. The more people that press that like button on the live stream, even if you dislike me, that's okay. Just press the like button. You could fake it. More people who press that like button, the more people who will see this live stream. And, I'm hearing from so many more people. It's so interesting. Every time either Jimmy Dore interviews me or I interview Jimmy Dore, all of a sudden you get so many more people coming to the channel saying, I had no idea you even had a channel. We've only been around for 10 months, but, YouTube doesn't exactly let anyone know that. Hey, my favorite troll, Jerry Ross, is here. Welcome, Jerry. Hope you had a nice Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever you do. So, press that like button. Again, more people pressing like, more people who will see the stream. Check out, now that the holidays are over, check out our membership section. You can go to statuscoup.com right now or statuscoup.com/join. You can become a member at $5 a month, $10 a month. Bonus behind the scenes content for you. I just uploaded another members only video, and this is how we're going to grow into a sustainable independent media revolution. Yes, Grace Dan, Jerry loves to troll. But you know what I don't appreciate, Jerry? If you're going to troll me now for 2 years, at least leave some money. Jesus Christ. You're occupying all this real estate, but you never donate. It's not very nice, Jerry. Follow at Status Coup on the Twitter. Subscribe to our podcast. The link is right there. The more people that subscribe and rate us 5-star, the more we will be seen in iTunes, and you could go to the Evil Empire themselves, facebook.com/status coup, like us there. Although I might just get rid of our Facebook, because Facebook's evil, and I don't even know if it's going to be around in 5 years, to tell you the truth. So, again, hope you guys had a nice holiday. It was nice to have a few days off. I saw Vice yesterday with my very, very... I don't know if my father's a Republican as much as he's just a deranged Fox News watcher. He loves Fox News. So I went with my parents to see Vice, and I loved it. If you could afford it, I would definitely go check out Vice. It really puts into perspective how much we have lost sense of who the real evils in this country are. I mean, don't get me wrong. Donald Trump is a real threat and is awful. But Dick Cheney is another level awful. I mean, Dick Cheney, for all intents and purposes, was the president. And he is largely responsible for the 8 countries we're at war with right now. So I would definitely go check out Vice. I could tell my father wasn't in love with it because he loves Fox News and all things, terrorism. But it was a great, great movie. So, as Santa was delivering all sorts of goodies to the future of our country. Before I start, I got to give you an update. Thanks to our last Sunday marathon, we had the great Jimmy Dore on. We now are at $29,264. That's me begging for money, according to Jerry Ross, my favorite troll. So we're almost at our end of the year goal of $30,000. Obviously, our overall goal to raise is $50,000. We've had the GoFundMe now for 3.5 months. So really, really awesome. We raised over $1,000 on Sunday, and let's keep going. I mean, I'm going live this Sunday, so we have about 5 or 6 days left in the year to hit that 30,000 mark. I know a lot of you have already donated, many of you twice, 3 times. So if you're tapped out, totally understand. Just share that GoFundMe is all I could ask. It's in the description box. I'm putting it in the chat room here. And, this is money that we are going to use to get back in the field and stay out in the field. I'm really, really sick and tired of seeing people from studios talk about Russia and Trump and what he tweets personally. We need to get back in the field to cover important things. I have a really important story today, actually, on Flint that you're not going to see in corporate media. So, appreciate it. No amount is too low, even if you only have $1. Just drop it in there in the GoFundMe. We appreciate it. So, as Christmas was going on, oh boy, as the establishment is having an epic meltdown over the attacks from the Bernie bros. Those damn Bernie bros are back. Oh my God, David Sirota writes a piece about Beto O'Rourke's voting record, and the establishment loses their mind. And by the way, I'm going to try not to curse because every time I curse, I'm getting demonetized. But if I start seeing the super chat, this is a super chat. If I start seeing the super chat going, maybe I'll drop a few F-bombs because I'd like to. This is a super chat. So David Sirota does the job of a journalist and writes what I thought was a very fair, accurate piece on Texas, soon-to-be ex-Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke. And he just does something so radical. He researches Beto's votes. There is not one thing in here that's not factual. Like, I'm not going to read you the whole story, but he goes through Beto's votes, which he voted with a lot of Republicans and some Democrats to weaken financial regulations on banks. He voted in many cases to help the fossil fuel industry, including helping us lift the ban on foreign exports of oil and gas. He voted for offshore drilling. He voted to weaken the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I mean, there's a lot of things Beto O'Rourke voted for that were anti-worker and anti-planet. Plain and simple. And there's really not that much of an excuse for him doing it because his district in El Paso is one of the bluest districts in the country. It's one of the bluest districts in the country. So it's not like David Sirota, who writes a column for The Guardian. He's a progressive journalist. He does a lot of the dirty work that many people don't, like putting in freedom of information requests, breaking news, all those kinds of things. You know, it's not like he wrote a piece like, some mean girl piece, attacking Beto O'Rourke's charisma or calling him a fraud or even really his opinion. These are actual votes that he cast as a, what's the term? Public servant? So it's all public knowledge. It's all public knowledge, his votes. It's just that the corporate media didn't bother to look into it. And by the way, when Beto was running against Ted Cruz, I don't live in Texas, but I said, listen, I don't think he's great. He's not progressive, but I would vote for him over Ted Cruz. That's a state election. We're talking about on a state level. But now we're talking about President of the United States. So, just being better than Ted Cruz is not like your bumper sticker to become the front runner to the Democratic nomination for president. I'm sorry. I would vote for, a steaming pile of shit. Ooh, demonetized. I cursed. I would vote for a steaming pile of shit over Ted Cruz. Grace Ann, you're right. Ted Cruz is so bad, he made Beto look progressive. But, it's Sirota, his piece wasn't attacking him. He was saying, hey, by the way, this guy that the narrative and the corporate media is painting as, the next coming of Obama, he's fairly moderate to Republican in his votes. Not to mention, he took a lot of money during the campaign from oil and gas executives. I did a piece during the election. I did a piece during the election before the Senate race that Beto was doing fundraisers with fossil fuel lobbyists. Again, that wasn't my opinion. I looked it up. I looked at, look at the calendar of events he has. I clicked on it. It says certain individuals are co-hosts donating $10,000, and then you look in the Google machine and you find out, this guy's a major fossil fuel lobbyist. For Andrew Cuomo, he's been connected to the Clintons, and Beto is having a fundraiser with him. Doesn't make Beto evil, but people have a right to know these things. Part of the 2016 progressive explosion, particularly Bernie Sanders supporters, and I always said this when I was at the Young Turks, part of it was Bernie Sanders supporters were very, very well researched. They knew Hillary Clinton's voting record. They knew who she was taking money from. Young people and older people, it's not an age thing, but young people really did their homework and know the record and the money. And Bernie Sanders' older voters certainly knew too. But the establishment, oh boy. Jerry, what did I do wrong now, Jerry? What did I do wrong? Jerry, let's get serious. If you're going to hang around my super chat, leave a buck. But hey, Jerry, actually, no, don't leave any money because I don't want to be accused of taking money from oil and gas, Jerry. I'm still convinced you work for DAPL. You haven't proved you haven't. You don't. So, oh my God, this piece is unbelievable. Inside Bernie World's war on Beto O'Rourke. It's a war! David Sirota does journalism. It's a war! And by the way, this piece, comically, was written by Jonathan Allen, a so-called reporter who, before he joined NBC News, he was working for Debbie Wasserman Schultz. Nope, not The Onion. He was literally working for Debbie Wasserman Schultz. That's Jonathan Allen right there. And Alex Seitz-Wald, an NBC, quote, reporter who used to work for Neera Tanden Center for the American Progress. And during the 2016 campaign, I could tell you because I covered it, he was known to basically, Hillary Clinton's campaign just fed him propaganda about Bernie Sanders' campaign, and Alex would very, very dutifully just regurgitate it. So this is who's writing this piece about the war waged by Bernie bros. Forces loyal to Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders are waging an increasingly public war against Texas Congressman Beto O'Rourke, the new darling of Democratic activists. No, he's not the new darling of Democratic activists. He's the new darling of Democratic elites, not activists. But, neither of these writers actually talk to activists, so how would they know? The main line of attack against O'Rourke is that he isn't progressive enough, that he's been too close to Republicans in Congress, too close to corporate donors, and is not willing enough to use his star power to help fellow Democrats, and is being pushed almost exclusive by Sanders supporters online and in print. So right there, they're basically trying to knock down the report by essentially calling David Sirota a Bernie supporter. That's basically what they're doing. They're trying to kind of like bastardize and attach a boogeyman of propaganda to his. I mean, honestly, his story. I don't mean this as an attack on David. I thought it was a great story, but it was just a dull write-up of the guy's voting record. It's not like it takes a lot of legwork to look up the votes, but a public war. David Sirota's story was the equivalent. It was the written equivalent of C-SPAN. And this is a public war waged by forces close to Bernie Sanders. I could assure you that David Sirota did not consult Bernie Sanders before he wrote that piece, or did not consult Bernie Sanders. Hey, do you want me to write a hit piece on Beto? And I could assure you, Bernie Sanders could care less about Beto O'Rourke. I'm not in the man's head, but Beto O'Rourke is the hot thing now. He's not going to be the hot thing later. Trust me. Voting records and who you take money from tend to come back to bite you in the ass. Go ask Hillary Clinton. So it's just amazing. It's amazing that this was being painted as some type of war. And by the way, I'm on Twitter a lot. You probably don't see my tweets because Twitter's suppressing me too, at Jordan Sheridan. But I'm literally watching people that are Bernie Sanders supporters. They're not attacking Beto O'Rourke. They're basically saying, yeah, the guy's, he's not progressive. So we don't want him to be president. Like last time I checked, Beto O'Rourke was a congressman. Like his record is public. He's open to public scrutiny from journalists or voters. Like, when you're going after Hillary Clinton's record, I never talked about her pantsuits or her, what does she have? Hot sauce? That hot sauce in her bag? I never talked about any of that. I talked about her record, her warmongering, and her donors. That's it. But when you do that, you're a sexist, you're a Bernie bro, and now you can't win. And then when you cover a man journalistically, again, David covering him, but I wrote about Beto as well. It's a war. It's a public war. And they're doing this, it's kind of like reverse psychology. It's kind of like reverse psychology. And as a reminder, folks, smash that like button on this live stream. The more people that like this live stream, the more people that will see this live stream. So we got 58 likes, but 131 viewers. So what are the rest of you doing? Yeah, it doesn't matter. You don't have to like me. Just like the live stream. YouTube, for whatever reason, their algorithm works that the more people that press the like button, the more people that see the live stream. So I appreciate it if you press like. But it's crazy. And it's really a not so subtle, it's like reverse psychology. They're trying to make it seem like these vicious Bernie bros. And by the way, there's a lot of female Bernie supporters. Can we broaden it out? Like, let's call them, just call them Bernie brats, because brats could be male and female. These Bernie bros, these Bernie gals, they're waging this unfair war. Well, this is from sludge.com. This is his record. Beto O'Rourke literally took over 20 campaign donations from oil and gas executives. Nobody made him do that. He took oil and very large donations, over $200, from oil and gas executives. And by the way, a quick look on opensecrets.org. Top recipients of oil and gas money for the 2018 campaign. Lucifer, right at the top. Who's number 2? Beto O'Rourke. So, you make your bed, you got to sleep in it. So if Beto O'Rourke, if he wants to go on a debate stage and say, hey, I was representing Texas and we're the biggest oil manufacturer and exporter in the country, and, as representing my constituents, many of which are in the oil industry, I took money from those executives. Then let him say that and let people decide if that's who they want to be president based on who he's taken money from. I would argue that the tide is shifting and it's going to be an unacceptable thing for any presidential candidate to be taking fossil fuel money, which Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is in part responsible for. I mean, I think we need more than a committee. To be honest with you, I appreciate her efforts, but we need way more than a committee. But she is starting to get establishment Democrats on the record to say they're going to stop accepting fossil fuel money. We will have to keep them honest and follow their donations to make sure they're being honest, because Beto O'Rourke said he signed the no fossil fuel pledge and then he broke it. I mean, look, this is from Sludge. I have confirmed that according to the latest campaign finance report, which covers the period from October 17th through October 26th, the O'Rourke campaign had not returned 29 large donations of over $200 from oil and gas executives, violating the no fossil fuel money pledge O'Rourke signed. So is this an attack or is this just the facts? It would be an attack if they wrote after that he signed, making him a fraud. Yeah, that's kind of an attack. It's true, but it's kind of an attack. But this is not an attack. These are facts. Facts are stubborn things. He took not like one donation, lots of donations from oil execs. He also took number two to Ted Cruz. I mean, he's taken more from oil and gas than Paul Ryan. and John Barrasso. John Barrasso is from Wyoming, another big oil state. So I don't want to hear about Beto O'Rourke as being so unfairly attacked. You know who is being unfairly attacked? David Sirota. David Sirota is being unfairly attacked. And I didn't even talk to David Sirota before this, so he didn't ask me to defend him. But my God, you would think that David Sirota, you would think that he stole his cat, or stole his lunch money, or burned Neera Tanden's apartment complex down. I'm not giving you any ideas. Don't do that. My God. I mean, look at this. For some strange reason, David Simon, who's the creator of The Wire, which is one of the greatest shows of all time, he's just deranged because David Sirota had the audacity to write about Beto O'Rourke's voting record. David Sirota couldn't tell a complete, contextualized truth if his life and the life of Bernie Sanders himself depended on such. Here's for you, fucknuts. Oh, holy cow. And by the way, this is a super chat. I already got demonetized because I said fucknuts. Hopefully you got a few dollars left from your Christmas pile. It's unbelievable. What exactly was out of context? How can you just list what somebody has voted on and that be out of context? That's incredible to me. Then you have some, I don't even know who that is, saying that David Sirota worked for Trump's campaign manager? I guess, which one? Corey Lewandowski, Paul Manafort, who's now in prison. Okay, so Manafort. As David points out, behold this tweet as an illustration of how deranged the Democratic establishment's Twitter army is. The idea that I worked for Trump's jailed campaign manager is way beyond anything even vaguely related to truth. It is 100% malicious libel, a complete and total fabrication. Here you have a CNN commentator. It's time for Bernie to step off and call off the dogs. If not, he'll pay a price for his bros. And again, that Jonathan Allen right there, who is a co-writer of the piece, literally came to NBC News after working for Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And as David Sirota points out, for the last week, folks accused me of being a political operative and not a real journalist because I worked for Bernie 19 years ago. Yet, much more recently, NBC's Jonathan Allen was a Wasserman Schultz staffer, and Alex Seitz Wald was a Center for American Progress staffer. You know, Neera Tanden's shop. They haven't faced the same accusation. I mean, honestly, if I would have tried to get more tweets, arrows attacking David Sirota, I literally would be spending all day on this. There were so many. I mean, the guy was under attack, under siege on Twitter for doing the work of a journalist. And you know what? So what if he worked for Bernie Sanders? And so what if he supports Bernie Sanders? So do I. Doesn't make a difference. His facts are right. It's not, what I always say is, hey, put out your beliefs out in the open, and people could read you or watch you if they want. Most people are kind of realizing that these so-called neutral journalists at CNN or the neutral people at MSNBC or the New York Times, not exactly neutral. And I'm not neutral. The stories I cover are informed. I cover things because I am progressive. But I don't fudge facts because I'm progressive. Those are two different things. And I've never seen Sirota fudge anything or even have to issue a major correction. But honestly, this ain't really about David Sirota. And it's not really about Beto O'Rourke. This is about propaganda. Because let's call it what it is. In 2016, you want to talk about a public war. I mean, Bernie Sanders was like the Revolutionary Army originally against the British. I mean, he was taking on Clinton, the Clinton campaign. He was taking on the national media. He was taking on the state media. He was taking on the DNC. I mean, all of those were coordinating, or shall I say, colluding to destroy Bernie Sanders. The Washington Post and Politico still, they basically alternate every week which one is going to write a more critical, ridiculous story about Bernie Sanders. But somehow one journalist who worked for Bernie Sanders 20 years ago is waging a public war, and Bernie bros are waging a public war. You know what? I would say Beto O'Rourke is waging a public war against our planet by voting with the fossil fuel industry, against working people by voting to deregulate Wall Street. How about we talk about that public war? You know, he's helping push these ridiculous and unnecessary and dangerous pipelines through because he voted to lift the ban on a decades-long export ban. Nobody made him vote for that. His donors probably played a part in him voting for that. Or nobody voted for him to vote with Republicans for offshore drilling. Alexis says, if it isn't Russia, then it must be Bernie bros. How long before the two are linked? Oh, Alexis, I've been saying this forever. They're gonna try to paint Bernie as a Kremlin stooge. You know, Bernie and Jane went on vacation to Russia. Who were they talking to in Russia? Who did they meet with? What did he have for dinner in Russia? It's coming. It's coming. I mean, I just interviewed Beto's primary opponent, Sema Hernandez, who you could watch that interview here on the channel. I interviewed her last week. I mean, she was saying all of this during the primary campaign against Beto O'Rourke. The only problem was she didn't get a microphone. The Young Turks didn't interview her. Nobody interviewed her, including me. I take responsibility too. Nobody gave her the time of the day during the primary. She's a single, not a single mother. She's a mother of four. She didn't have health care. She had a great story. Latina, but nobody gave her the time of day. She was saying all of this about Beto O'Rourke. But I'm just saying, prepare yourself. Because, this is barely taking off the gloves. David Sirota barely lifted a finger on Beto O'Rourke. So, if you think this is how they react to the Beto voting record, oh my God, wait. Just wait until Kamala Harris. Because I'm going to do stories on Kamala Harris. Mrs., let's not go after Steve Mnuchin. Let's go meet with Hillary Clinton's donors in the Hamptons over the summer. Yeah, Kamala Harris met with Hillary Clinton's donors in the Hamptons. People don't generally meet in the Hamptons to heal the world. These are the elites meeting and partying in the Hamptons together. It's disgusting. Disgusting. So let the propaganda, the real public war, oh my God. And by the way, these were the same people that are attacking David Sirota right now, loved David Sirota last year or earlier this year when he broke a story about Republican Senator Bob Corker taking kickbacks to vote for Trump's tax cuts. Oh, they loved David Sirota then. He was being heralded all over neoliberal establishment Twitter. Even Neera Tanden was sending out love, saying, "Pox on Bob Corker. Schultzy 100 getting us started in the super chat. $5. This is how we do it, Jerry. Show some support, dude. That's right. You know, Jerry, I am going to block you if you don't start paying up. You need to pay your fair share, Jerry, to be here. This guy's been trolling me for 2 years. I don't block him. Doesn't even leave $1 in the GoFundMe. How dare you?" Zachary, good point. David Sirota can write one negative article about Trump and they will love him again. Oh, you better believe it. You better believe it. Hell, they've rehabilitated George W. Bush. Now George W. Bush is like a wonderful flower. Oh, Michelle Obama and him are passing things to each other at funerals. George W. Bush. Oh, we just long for the yesterday of George W. Bush. Yeah, go watch Vice. I just saw it yesterday with my parents. Trust me. Listen, I don't think Trump's great, but it's not even close compared to George W. Bush and Dick Cheney. It's just not even close. Unfortunately, in this country, we have selective amnesia. And if something didn't happen yesterday, we forget it. By the way, Trump, landed in Iraq today. First time he's been to a war zone. And it also came out that, his whole like having bone spurs in his foot was a lie to dodge the Vietnam War. Did anyone know we still have over 5,000 troops in Iraq? Just came out today. It's unbelievable. Darth Corey, this country has a memory of goldfish. Do goldfish have bad memories? That's interesting. So here's what I have to say. As FDR once said, I invite your hatred, because I will be writing about Mr. O'Rourke some more. I certainly will be reporting on Kamala Harris. I certainly will be reporting on Cory Booker and his fraudulence. Kirsten Gillibrand is also another, suddenly born-again progressive. These are all born-again progressives, I'm not going to take corporate PAC money. Yeah, well, you were certainly hoarding corporate PAC money for years and years and years. And then when Bernie made it sexy and righteous not to do it, I'm a progressive. I can't take corporate PAC money. No. We don't want any of you Johnny-come-lately progressives. Because that's not going to defeat Trump, by the way. At the end of the day, if you're progressive, your goal is to defeat Trump. But you can't defeat Trump with a, mildly sanitized version. We've already seen that. You're not going to defeat Trump with a nicer sounding country club, Chamber of Commerce endorsed Democrat. It's not going to do it. You need a contrast and a stark contrast. And speaking of the 2020 campaign, that's part of why we are pushing our GoFundMe. We need to grow our seed money as far and wide as we can, so we have the money to hit the 2020 campaign trail. I don't know if I'm going to have the funding to do as many debates and primary nights and conventions as when I was at the Young Turks. We are looking for larger funding in the background. So hopefully we'll have that funding to do it. But right now, this is all grassroots, all coming from you, the viewer. I'd rather beg the viewer, as Jerry says, I'd rather beg the viewer than ever have a meeting with a corporate hack or a special interest douchebag. So that's why we're pushing this GoFundMe, because honestly, probably going to start having campaign coverage coming up in 3 or 4 months. It's really coming hard, and we're going to need independent media on the ground. And unfortunately, it just doesn't exist anymore. I mean, I'm not going to get into the Young Turks, but do you see any independent media out in the country covering anything of substance? I don't. So, and there are some outlets that have the money to do it, but choose not to. Let's call it what it is. They choose to cover Trump and Russia 24/7. That's not why people go to independent media. And that's why I hope that's why this channel is growing. We're about to hit 24,000 subscribers. So thank you. We just launched in March, and we're already about to hit 24,000 subscribers, even though YouTube has gone bent up backwards and forwards to make sure nobody knows this channel exists. Hannah Pause, have you checked out Richard Ojeda? I have not only checked him out, I put in an interview request. And by the way, for those of you that want to join our Sunday marathon, I will have economist Richard Wolff on this Sunday. Economist Richard Wolff, who is a he's a nugget of wisdom and sanity in this corporate oligarchy elitist ocean of corruption. So I'm going to have Richard Wolff on this Sunday, trying to land some other people too. I have an outstanding request in for Chris Hedges, but I haven't heard back. Have another request in for Stephanie Kelton, so we could talk MMT. And I also have a request in for Richard Ojeda. And I appreciate Jimmy Dore coming on last Sunday. You could go, I think that video's up to 20,000 views. So you could go watch, if you missed the Jimmy interview, it's right on this channel. But we'll have Richard Wolff this Sunday and hopefully some others. And I love your ideas. So I'm not only asking for your, financial contributions, we want your ideas. So email Jordan at protonmail.com. I have to put it in here because Jen's not here today. Hold on. Email Jordan at protonmail.com. any ideas you have, guests you'd like to see, all that stuff. So, onto a story that you probably won't see on CNN, MSNBC, the New York Times. As you know, I've been to Flint about 13 times, and Governor Rick Snyder, who is now exiting, and I think might have some legal problems now that he's exiting. His term limit is up. Well, Governor-elect, who will take office, in the new year, Gretchen Whitmer, has pledged to bring back bottled water for Flint. So that's the free bottled water. If you follow my reporting, in April of last year, Governor Snyder shut down the remaining 4 free water pods in Flint. The water pods were the stations in Flint during the water crisis that residents, majority poor, could go get cases of bottled water. They don't just drink with bottled water, but they brush their teeth with bottled water. They boil their water with bottled water. They, a lot of them actually take baths with bottled water. I mean, some people take a bath and have to dump in like 100-something bottled water just to take a bath. So that's been shut down since April. And I have been there twice since April and seen the devastation up close, the further devastation. So Democratic Governor-elect Whitmer told Michigan Advance in an exclusive interview this month that she will have her administration distribute bottled water until all lead pipes are replaced. Lead contaminated Flint's water supply after state-appointed emergency managers. I need to read that part. You get it. Whitmer stressed the need to attract investment to the city. The governor-elect said she will work with local and federal leaders to make sure that I've got a great person who directly works with me to help me in the Flint recovery. Whitmer told the Advance that Mona Hanna-Attisha, who is the pediatrician that blew the lid on this, is someone that has been such a leader and has the confidence and trust of the people of Flint. So I'll keep it real. Oh, let's see. What are you planning to do differently in Flint than the Snyder administration? Well, I'm going to work with Mayor Karen Weaver and Congressman Dan Kildee, our United States senators, and local leadership to make sure that I've got a great person who directly works with me to help Flint recovery. But it's got to be someone that the mayor has confidence in, and that we're going to share information and make sure that we have bottled water until the pipes are all finished being replaced. But I think having a longer term view in terms of how do we get a greater investment into Flint? How do we get great employers to come to Flint and make sure that there's opportunity for the people of Flint? So she's saying all the right things. I don't love her record. She took a hell of a lot of money from Blue Cross Blue Shield, which is, basically an insurance cartel, if you ask me. But credit where credit is due. She is saying the right things and pledging to do the right things so far. I certainly will keep her honest on that. But just think of this. If you followed our report, Jen and my report, where we knocked on 450 doors, we have proven that Rick Snyder's environmental agency, it's not clear if Rick Snyder knew about it, literally cooked the data. They cooked the water lead data by artificially flushing residents' water lines in Flint. We found they flushed the water lines in at least 35 homes in Flint, which gives you a false reading. If you were watching on Sunday, we aired the new introduction to our documentary that Ty is working night and day on to finish. Frankly, I think that documentary is badass, and I just watched the whole thing. I might be trying to sell it to someone somewhere like Netflix, possibly, because I think it's that good. So we have proof that the numbers have been falsified. With those falsified numbers, the governor of Michigan shut down the water pod, citing those falsified numbers. We have had Representative Tulsi Gabbard come out and say, our reporting means there should be an investigation. We have had Representative Ro Khanna come out and say the same thing. We have had Alyssa Milano, an activist and celebrity, Susan Sarandon, many others. If I'm keeping it real, we have sent this to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. We have sent this to Congresswoman-elect Rashida Tlaib. We have sent this to Congressman Elijah Cummings. They have not said anything yet. I don't know why. Like, in fairness, I didn't talk to Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez directly about it. I talked to one of her advisors. In fairness, well, actually, no. Congresswoman-elect Rashida Tlaib actually just responded directly to me. So Elijah Cummings, who's going to be the chairman of the House Oversight Committee, who has called for further investigation of Rick Snyder, I have spoken with his press secretary multiple times. For some reason, none of these people have come out publicly about this, even though 2 U.S. congressmen have. Frankly, I see a lot of tweets of selfies and stupidity from a lot of people in Congress that I have sent this to. And there is nobody questioning our reporting. There is nobody who has questioned our report. Basically, in a nutshell, the state of Michigan, both Rick Snyder and his environmental agency, their response to our reporting was not saying our facts are wrong, was not saying there's, we're making things up, was saying the residents that we spoke to on the record are confused. No. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, if you're new to watching this, here's our story where we broke the massive news from old school journalism that you helped fund through our GoFundMe. We knocked on 450 doors. We found that the state environmental agency illegally tested in at least 35 homes. Erin Brockovich is on the record in our story calling it criminal, saying all the testing needs to be thrown out, saying all the water pods need to be restored, and new testing needs to be done citywide while a criminal investigation goes on. We found this from knocking on doors. We have paperwork to prove it, and on the record interviews with 150 residents. But we cannot there's the link to the story if you haven't read it. I mean, Erin Brockovich has said this is the biggest environmental scandal in America. For some reason, I can't get Elijah Cummings to publicly comment on this. For some reason, frankly, I can't get newly elected progressives to comment on this. I don't know why. I've even offered to speak with these newly elected progressives. So, everybody's busy, but this is not a small thing. There are people drinking water because the state shut down the water pods. There are people drinking water from the tap because they don't have access to clean water. There are people drinking water from the tap because they were told that the testing and the data shows the water's fine. Well, we found in dozens of homes that was falsified because state environmental agencies went into homes, let the water run, in some cases for several minutes, and then put the sample bottle in and took it, which is totally against the EPA's regulations. You're supposed to not have the water in use at all for at least 6 hours, and then you're supposed to turn the tap on and take it right away. When you let the water run, you're basically flushing out the evidence. And why this is so important, this news that they're getting bottled water service back, which is, you have to give credit. I don't love Gretchen Whitmer's whole record. I don't like her donations from Blue Cross Blue Shield, a lot of money. But you have to give, if somebody's establishment, I'm going to give them credit if they do the right thing. We can't be totally, nuclear, never give anyone credit for anything. She's doing the right thing by restoring the bottled water. But I would like to see her spearhead this investigation into our reporting, because she knows about our reporting, because she's on the record in our story. One more time, here's the link. And press the share button. Let's get this live stream out to as many people as possible. And if you haven't liked this live stream, get it out. So I want to show you a clip that we've never aired. It's going to be in our documentary. So you truly, truly could see exactly the devastation in Flint. This was from this summer. We have never aired it. It will be in our documentary, but I want you to see what people are dealing with while they shut down those water pods. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, hold on. And your boyfriend and kids just moved here. What'd you say?
We've been here since 2 months.
Yeah. So moved here 2 months ago. Was there any issues with your kids before you moved here?
No.
And what's going on now?
Right now, my daughter, as you can see, have all these spots on her legs from them telling me that I can give her water out of the tap water. I have sickle cell. I've been going in and out of the hospital every other 4 days. My blood levels is steady dropping. My blood levels was normal at an 8.9. I've been standing at like a 6.2 where I have to get 4 units. I've been in a lot of crisis. I've actually been drinking water out of the faucet. Just recently, since we moved here, the city people showed up and put a dipstick up under there and told me it was safe to give it to my kids.
Was it 10 seconds or 10 minutes? I thought you said.
10 minutes. I'm sorry, 10 minutes. And they told me it was safe to give it to my kids. I've been giving it to my kids, and my daughter has caught several rashes. First, they start off to blisters, and then she scratched them to sores.
Did they come in and test themselves, or they just gave you the bottle to do it yourself?
No, they test.
Okay. Was it just the kitchen, the bathroom too?
The kitchen, just the kitchen.
Okay. And when they did it, do you remember if they turned the water on and took the sample right away, or did they let it run
They
first?
let it run a while.
What's a while? How long?
Oh man, I don't know. They just said they had to let it run enough for the distance between here and from the road to the house.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, then do it. So I don't know more than that.
That's the bullshit they've been telling people.
Oh, can you say bullshit?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that all along.
The folks that came in the first place, were they the poor people with the... Sound go... And, okay, so they put it under after 10 minutes, and then what happened?
After that, they just told me my water was safe.
And it's not like they didn't take any samples, like putting it in a bottle. It was just a dipstick.
It was just a dipstick. They didn't come with no clear tube or anything, just a dipstick.
And how many kids do you have living there?
2.
So this one we've seen, it's basically like white splotches. Can we see this one again? And what about the other one? Has the other kid had these problems too?
Actually, no. His lead levels is at a 4. I haven't got her lead levels checked yet, but I'm working on going tomorrow and get it checked.
When did you get the other child's lead checked?
I want to say back in May. No, back in April, because that's when my wake appointment was, and it was at 4.
So
I actually have the lead level card. So.
And did you live with the other child? Did you live in Flint before with them?
Yes, I actually lived on Carr Street when they started saying that the water was messed up.
Carr Street?
Mm-hmm. The car where the apartments is, right there.
Okay. Okay, so he had previous consumption of the water when they switched the water.
Yeah.
Okay. And has your, you said you have sickle cell. Has it gotten worse since you moved into this home?
It's gotten worse since the water been messed up. When we was running out of water and I didn't have a car, I was drinking water out of the faucet.
And now, what choice do you have if they shut down the water stations where you can get free water?
I still drink out the faucet water.
Yeah. Do you have a filter at least on it?
Yeah, a Brita. But when I talked to 211, they basically said it's okay to drink it.
Have you had any problems health-wise since the water switch?
Itching, breaking down, stuff like that.
My teeth. Yeah, so.
And I've had pneumonia.
I skin and I hear.
Go ahead, get it. Bro, I'm telling you. And I get them like, this, bro. And they were worse.
My daughter did have a miscarriage. He was at Heritage Manor, went to McLaren, where they had the Legionnaires. My father is dead.
She didn't have any of this before you moved in here.
She had clear skin. Nothing was on her body, nothing. Like, even scratches coming across her face. She was like, no.
So when they came to your home and they ran it for a while and this and that, what specifically did they say after? What did they say as far as like, it's good, blah, blah, blah? Did they tell you they could drink it? What did they say?
This exact words was, y'all water over here is good, y'all is drinkable. And ever since you said that, as you can see, I've been giving it to my kids, and she broke completely out, like in blisters, to where she'll bust them to scabs.
How old is she?
She's 1 year old.
And how long do you generally put her in the bath for?
I've maybe put her in the bath for about 5 seconds ever since this started. So
Before that, it was a little longer?
yeah, we was in there for about a good 30 minutes.
We don't shower. I pour water into a pan and heat it up, and we pour.
So I'm not going to show you anymore because Ty will kill me. That was just a little sneak peek. But as you could see, I interviewed Jasmine, who was the woman with her 1-year-old baby sitting on her lap. Interviewed her probably for a half hour. And essentially, we found out later that what they were doing was not a lead test in her house. They were checking the chlorine levels. So that's what that dipstick is that they dropped in. But they told her water was fine. Well, they moved into that house in May of this year. Her daughter didn't have any rashes, any white blisters, no nothing. Her anemia, which she's had her whole life, was quasi under control. They move into that house, all of a sudden her 1-year-old baby has rashes turning into white blisters all over her arm, her leg, and her ears. I spoke with her 5-year-old son. He's forgetting numbers. He's forgetting numbers. He used to be able to count to 30, now forgets after about 13 or 14. Forgetting letters in the alphabet. We don't know if that's from lead exposure before he moved into that house, because they were living in Flint. But overall, you're talking to a 5-year-old and he can't remember numbers and letters. God knows the cognitive issues her 1-year-old baby might be having. And Jasmine, just like a large number of people, Flint is 42% impoverished by the percentages. I think it's way worse than that. A lot of these people don't even have cars. So even when there was water stations around Flint, it wasn't easy for them to go get water. But now you shut down the water pods, so people like Jasmine have no ability to get free water. These are people on welfare because all of Flint's jobs have been sold to China and Mexico, which is a much bigger story and problem, preceding the water crisis, which we get into a little bit in the documentary. So you're basically forcing impoverished, poor, largely black people, but a lot of poor white people there too, to drink contaminated water. And by the way, the governor of Michigan, Rick Snyder, who frankly should be in jail, declared the water restored. He declared the water restored in April, and as a result, shut down those water pods based on the data we found was manipulated. Well, they moved in May. So the water's restored, yet a 1-year-old is getting white rashes and blisters all over her legs, all over her arms, all over her ears. And you want to tell me about Russia and trolls and tweets while this is going on in America? It's not a sexy topic, right? It doesn't get all the clicks. Who wants to look at people being poisoned? Who wants to look at 1-year-old babies with white blisters all over their legs and arms? This is not only exclusive to Flint, by the way. This kind of stuff is happening all over the United States. Water contamination, Native Americans getting cancer from uranium mining. Native Americans have some of the highest cancer rates in the country because we have dumped toxic mines. We have dumped toxic landfills. When I was at the Young Turks, there's a landfill in the St. Louis area that literally has nuclear waste very close to a underground methane fire. I had to put a mask over my face when I was there because it smells that bad. And children have to wear masks when they go outside because it smells that bad. That's in this country. Yet all we are exposed to, all we see all day is propaganda. You know, Trump and the new Cold War. I've always said, have an investigation. The problem is when news and corporate media basically becomes a nonstop food fight, basically becomes sensationalism and nonsense and clickbait and substanceless drivel, people like Jasmine and her baby and all the people in Flint fall through the cracks. And that's why I go back to Flint. Because Flint is ground zero for all of this. If you allow this to be normalized in Flint, if the cameras leave, which pretty much all of them have, if the microphones leave, then you are giving every other corrupt Republican or Democrat, frankly, the playbook on how to get away with environmental genocide. And by the way, even though the story hasn't exploded to the point it should explode, we were able to break this story because you sent us there. We went in the fall, we went in the summer for several weeks and the fall. This story would have not broken unless you funded us to go there. We don't have some mega investor in status quo. We are looking for funding, but we don't have that yet. So we're growing based on GoFundMe, and we're also growing based on membership. We're still trying to grow our membership. We haven't been pushing it as much as the GoFundMe, but we're starting to push membership. So, you know, people can shit on the corporate media till they're blue in the face, but until we together build the media we want to see, I just put the link in the super chat at $5 a month, $10 a month. We're also going to have a higher plan because a lot of people have asked me, can they contribute more? Until people put their money where their mouth is, and not everyone could do it. $5 a month or $10 a month. A lot of people don't have it. People are living paycheck to paycheck. I get it. But until we stop only bitching about how awful the corporate media is and put our money where our mouth is to fund actual journalism in the field that knocks on doors and exposes these things, I always tell you, the corruption in this country is always out in the open. You want to know why? Because the corrupt are super, super arrogant and lazy. And they don't expect journalists to actually look because 99.9% of the journalists are part of their corrupt system. Nobody from the environmental agency thought a journalist, or two journalists, it was Jen and I, would knock on 450 doors. In the sweltering heat, by the way. Jen was spending time away from her kids doing this. I was doing this post-back surgery, running up and down all over Flint. We do this because we care. We don't do this to become media stars, or we'd like to make a lot of money because we need to eat and we want to grow a company. My goal is not to be the face of status quo. My goal is to create many, many faces because this country is so corrupt, it's going to take a lot more than me or Jen or Ty. It's going to take a whole lot of aggressive reporters, trust me. But this is happening out in the open. And by the way, stay tuned for this documentary, because if you think that was sad, if you think that was infuriating, wait till you see the rest. I watched the rough draft that Ty sent me the other day. It's a goddamn masterpiece, but it's also a goddamn miserable thing to watch. If you're looking for a pick-me-up, I would not advise watching. But if you're looking to see what environmental genocide looks like, what corruption looks like, if you're looking to get angry on the fact that no other journalists are doing this kind of work, if you're looking to give yourself a reason to support us, again, and thank you for an update, $20 from Fran in the GoFundMe, giving us $29,284. So closer to our 30,000 goal. But this is why we're going and raising money for the GoFundMe. There are other stories like this sitting out, hanging out in plain sight, because government is in bed with corporations. Government is a giant corporation in this country. We don't live in the United States of America. We live in the United Corporations of America. And that's why we are pushing as hard as we can. As Jerry says, begging. You know what? I will beg my viewers Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and twice Saturday and twice on Sunday before I beg a special interest or a corporate douchebag. I'm not getting in financial bed with the same people destroying this country. That's why I'm working 7 days a week. That's why we're doing the Sunday marathon, so we could get back out there and break more stories like Flint. And by the way, I'm not going to name who, but I am speaking with a politician about possibly going in front of a committee in Washington, a governmental committee in Washington, based on what we found. So just because something doesn't go super viral and take somebody down in 5 days, I might be invited, Jen and I might be invited to go speak in front of a committee on what we found. So there's movement. Jen and I have been working very, very hard, to get more traction on this story, because if we don't, babies like her and mothers like Jasmine continue to have this injustice hang out, right out in the open. And I'm not going to allow that to happen. I don't care if I have to hitchhike to Flint. Don't Jamal Khashoggi yourself, Jordan. Oh, I hope not. I'm not going to get into details, but as status quo gets bigger, we do have some visions on ways to make sure that doesn't happen. But I have thought about that. Tweak me nips. We love your journalism, Jordan. Kudos. Don't stop doing what you're doing. Never surrender, tweak me nips. And I won't say anything more, but interesting name. Ruth Ryden. Some of these pipes are over 80 years old. Back then, the dangers of lead pipes and lead paint were largely unknown. Your grandpa has probably got lead poisoning too. Hey, by the way, Ruth, it ain't just lead. There's bacteria they found in that water, TTHMs, which can cause cancers, PFOA and PFAS, which they're finding all over this country now, cancer-causing chemicals. So the media only focused on lead, but it's not just lead. Underground Knox, you guys are the only ones covering this and have been for years. I appreciate all you guys do. Thank you, Underground. We appreciate you watching and supporting. Creative Experiments. Yes, those pipes are built by grandparents who smoked while pregnant. It's true. Totally true. So this is why we fight. This is why we're doing grassroots fundraising. And if Jerry Ross and people don't like us asking our audience to help us do reporting in the field. And by the way, as we've said all along, GoFundMe is not our long-term business model. This is just to give us a start. Our long-term business model is paid membership. And I hope after all of you, are done with the holidays and, get your next paycheck or whatever it is, you could consider adding us to your budget. Because unlike some organizations, we're not asking you for money so we could do cover 25 Donald Trump things a day and tell you about the Russian boogeyman. We're asking you to support us financially, not just financially, but support us, watch us, like us, share us, word of mouth. This is grassroots, so word of mouth is super important. Your friends, your family, people in your political groups, whatever it is. Most people care about clean water. Most people care about the planet. Even some conservatives, you'll be surprised. Jordan never left Detroit, Deso says. I've covered Detroit twice. I would love to go back. They had to shut off all the water in public schools in Detroit. Didn't get any national media coverage. Underground Knox, I will definitely support. And by the way, the way that you stay independent, as a company is very simple. You answer only to your viewers. I'm not getting into other organizations and media networks and what they do or do not do, but I'll tell you what, it is liberating. It is liberating when you go out in the field and only have to answer to the viewer. That's the only person I choose to answer to. I'm not going to answer to a corporate boss. I'm not going to answer to a boss above me that is a narcissist lunatic. Not talking about anyone in particular, but there's a lot of them I've worked for. I'm not going to answer to advertisers, and I'm certainly not answering to YouTube. Answering to the viewers is the best way to do real journalism, and answering to the viewers is the best way to actually grow a business. And we're trying to make it affordable. $5 a month, $10 a month. We're going to have other avenues for revenue, podcasts, sponsorship deals, all those things. But I have zero interest in big corporate advertisers. I have zero interest in mega, investors that gave money to Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. Not interested. Not interested. Tweak Me Nips. Jordan, are you considering Patreon as a platform, or are you concerned about their deplatforming? I've actually been pushing people. I've told my existing Patreons, because we do have, I think, 300. Let me see how many we have. Patreon. We have 357. So we have 357 patrons at almost $2,000 a month. I've been telling folks that are not already patrons. If you're a patron, you don't have to do anything. Stay where you are if you want. I've been telling people that are not patrons, I would prefer, and Jen would prefer, people becoming members at our site for several reasons. Number one, first and foremost, I don't want to be reliant on any third-party platform. A lot of companies in media are having mass layoffs now because they were overly reliant on Facebook and getting traffic from Facebook. And after Facebook changed its algorithm basically to give blowjobs to CNN and large corporate platforms, excuse my French, ladies, websites have had their traffic cut in half, resulting in layoffs. And some are being bought out now. So we don't want to be reliant on Patreon or YouTube or Facebook or Twitter. We want to be reliant on us. So that's why we want people to sign up as members through statuscoup.com. Because Patreon might not even be around in 3 to 5 years. You just never know with these platforms. Number two, Patreon takes a larger percentage cut than our website processor does. And number three, and I would say right now, the most important thing to me is I don't like what Patreon is doing. I don't like them deplatforming even people whose political views I disagree with. I don't like Patreon deplatforming people. I don't like YouTube deplatforming people. I don't like Twitter deplatforming people. I've already talked about this weeks ago. There's really only very few exceptions that I support the deplatforming, if you want to call it that, of. And frankly, I did support Alex Jones being deplatformed because I think he is a hate monger and he incites violence. And I think those who incite violence, and he has a documented history of inciting violence, are not protected under free speech. And I understand the argument, it could be a slippery slope. First it's Alex Jones, then it's other people. I totally get that. I have said no to every single person other than Alex Jones. On Alex Jones, you're not going to convince me that what he does is free speech and he should be able to do it. He's a wealthy guy. He could go live on his website. It's YouTube and other places, right, to get rid of him if he's inciting violence. And he has called for his viewers to have an armed revolution. That is a bridge too far for me. But when Patreon is deplatforming people based on ridiculous reasons, sorry, Patreon. And it's a slippery slope. First it's the right wing, then it's going to be the left wing. Because it's not really about right wing or left wing. It's anti-establishment. Anybody who's anti-establishment is now being thrown into this, hate speech, shocking content. Phil, seriously, just watching Jordan's videos wear me out. How do you think I feel, Phil? How do you think I feel? I go live on Sundays for 6 to 8 hours. And every day, Monday through Friday. And I do a lot of stuff other than going live during the week. But we love you, Phil. I love you. So that's why I want people to become members at our website. We have 52 paid members now on our website to go with 357 on Patreon. So we have over 400 between the two. Our goal for the end of this year, which is not going to happen, unfortunately, is 100. We wanted to get to 100 paid members. We have 52 paid members, so, you're not going to hit every goal. We're trying to do two things at once. We're trying to grow the GoFundMe, which is immediate funds to get in the field, and grow paid membership, which is growing our company. And also, if I'm keeping it real, if I'm going to go out to try and get larger funding from individuals or groups that we are aligned with, not necessarily totally politically, but our values. I'm not going to get funding from anybody that does not share our values, and I'm also not taking funding from anyone that it's not written down. You have absolutely zero say in our content. Zero editorial control. Zero. That's non-negotiable. So, bottom line, it's attractive when you're targeting larger funding to say, hey, we already have 500 paid members. That's what they want to see, a sustainable business model. So that's part of why, obviously, you get stuff for becoming a member. You get bonus content, behind the scenes videos, a monthly private video call with us, a lot of cool stuff. Go, check out membership and all the perks you get from membership. You could become a status slayer at $5 a month. I don't know why the page is messed up again. I'll have to talk to Jen about that. But $5 a month and $10 a month as a coup de champion. So you get, different things at those two levels. So I hope more people consider signing up. And if you can't do it right now because you're tapped out, you just spent all your money on the holidays, hopefully you'll consider it in the new year. And let's see. Darth. Corey, hey Jordan, when is the physical book coming out? That's a great question. Well, in addition to the 25 things Jen is doing for Status Coup, she's also editing my book. So once she fully edits all the chapters that have been released already, then we're going to make it a paperback. So we hope that happens in the near future. And could I have done this without Jen? No. I've said from the beginning, I would not be standing here without Jen. She's a miracle woman and a great friend. And Status Coup would not be where it is, or even exists really, without Jen, nor would me personally at this moment. So, no. Tweak me nips, right? I'm joining via your website from January 1st. We need you out there, Jordan. Bless you, brother. You're on the left side. That's right. And I think we have some new viewers, so make sure you're not going to get notified from YouTube, I promise you. So make sure you remember, Monday through Friday, 5 o'clock Eastern, rain or shine, Monday through Friday, I'm live. 5 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock Central, 3 o'clock Mountain, 2 o'clock Pacific. And Sundays for the noon marathons. And if you came late, we're going to have economist Richard Wolff on this Sunday, as well as hopefully some other guests. I'm trying to line some folks up now. But we'll have Richard Wolff, who's a great economist, talk some sense. We're going to talk about the looming recession, the student loan bubble, neoliberal economics taking a machete to all of our lives, and many other good things. So, that's it for today, folks. I appreciate you watching. I appreciate you supporting. Thanks to, I think we only got one GoFundMe contribution, but obviously the GoFundMe never sleeps. So if you're got a couple bucks, we're trying to get to 30,000 by the end of this year. We are almost 700 away from that 30,000. So we're definitely, I think we're going to do it. I hope you can contribute. There's, 125 watching right now. So $5 from everybody, we probably get there. I can't do the math, but 122 times 5, I think we'd get there with $5 from everybody. But if you can't, that's okay. Just share the link. And of course, watch the videos on the channel. We have a great interview up with a Chicago activist on Rahm Emanuel's destructive legacy in Chicago. Gotta watch it. Honestly, this Erica kind of reminds me of Nina Turner. You have got to watch her. Let me show you. Who I'm talking about. Oh, and we're almost at 24,000 subscribers, so that's great too. So Erica Nanton, I would super advise you to tune in to this interview if you have a chance once the YouTube ad stops playing.
To literally rise up off of like a metal, like a heavy, almost like a metal like blanket of just like deep like despair and despondency. And that is such a hard thing to do when there's black and brown communities that he wouldn't be rerunning. And
some establishment types, including Bill Daley, who worked for President Obama at one point. So I wanted to talk to you about the mayoral race as well as Rahm Emanuel's legacy and some other issues, because what I'm seeing is in the never-ending 24/7 Trump and tweets and Russia and everything like that, Chicago, like other cities, is being left behind.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Jordan. It's been definitely quite the journey and the political climate and just the social climate since the announcement that Rahm Emanuel would no longer be seeking elected re-election. For sure, the terrain has gotten very tense. However, like you said, there's so many issues going on in Chicago that didn't start with Rahm Emanuel. They didn't stop when he announced that he wouldn't be rerunning. And what you said about it being a war zone, I think like one of the things that we really got to get deep about Chicago is it's not just a war zone in the sense of gun violence or turf wars or gang wars or things like that. Chicago is a war zone politically. Chicago is a war zone for the poor. Chicago is a war zone for those who are being pushed out of their communities systematically, whose schools are being shut down, poor black and brown communities. It's a war zone for those. There was just a survey that just came out that gauged the parking tickets between different neighborhoods, and it showed that marginalized black communities and black wards in Chicago literally are getting charged more for traffic infractions and tickets and parking tickets than majority white wards and neighborhoods. Like actually legitimately getting charged more. So you have poor people, marginalized communities already being hit with fees and taxes and all types of things that are, to me, a form of economic violence. And the violence that we see on the streets with the guns are so connected to those economic violences and attacks. But just because those attacks aren't in the form of a bullet, it gets overlooked as violence.
Preach. So that's Erica Nanton, and she's an activist. She just got elected to her school board, too. So from the ground up, as Bernie Sanders likes to say. So check out the videos. I'll be back tomorrow, 5 o'clock Eastern time. And as always, remember, folks, super important. Most people are not lacking compassion in this country. As always, remember, most people have absolutely no fucking clue what the hell is going on.